All right, welcome to Talkin' Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to do our monthly Bitcoin and Bitcoin miner update. We're going to do July by the numbers. This is a little later than usual. There were several companies that did not report at all, so we're narrowing the list down. We've got 13 companies that did report. We're going to go through those. We're going to go by the numbers, measuring a bunch of different things, and we'll see how these miners ranked up against each other and against themselves from the previous month. So we talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. If that is content that you're interested in, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could please smash the like button, it helps the channel out a lot. It helps this video get out to more people, and we've been having a lot of success with that, so I really appreciate everybody's efforts in hitting the like button, and please feel free to leave a comment below. I read all the comments. No one of these indicators is the be-all, tell-all, so they all have to kind of be taken into account with each other, and obviously there are a lot of other variables even beyond that which we're going to look at in this video. So I'm putting these numbers together. Hopefully this is of use to you and it is helpful to you, but there's no one video where we're going to get 100% of all the information in. So with that said, let's take a look, and we're going to start out with Bitcoin mined in the month of July by miner. Okay, so here we go. There's not a lot of changes in this from the previous month. So in first place is Core Scientific by a mile. 1,221 Bitcoin mined. That is their all-time record, so they had a good month. Okay, from there, we drop off precipitously. Bitfarms was in second place with 500 Bitcoin mined. That was a very impressive showing for Bitfarms. Last month, there was basically a three-way tie for second at around 420 Bitcoin mined. So, big jump for Bitfarms, solidly in second place right now. I do expect this to change, and I don't think there's any of us that expected this to be the July list. There's two companies that are much further down the list than I believe they will be by the end of the year. They're a little out of place, but for two very different reasons. Those are Riot and Marathon, so we'll talk about those because they are both further down the list, but again, one for a good reason and one maybe not so good. Okay, Hive came in third place with 465 Bitcoin mined, and remember, they do about a third of their mining in Ethereum, so that is Bitcoin equivalent that we're measuring right there. CleanSpark had a big jump with 384 Bitcoin mined. That's the best month they've ever had. Hut did 330 Bitcoin. That was fairly consistent month over month, and we'll take a look at that. Riot mined 318 Bitcoin in the month of July, so that is a big drop off. However, they got paid $9 million in energy tax credits to divert energy to the grid. So if you do the math, they actually made more money giving electricity back to the grid than they would have mining additional Bitcoin in that month. So although they fell much further down the list, I think it was a very good month for Riot. Gree had a big month, 287 Bitcoin mined for Gree in the month of July. That is their all-time record by far, so that was a very good month for them. Argo Blockchain, 219, so that was a nice improvement for them. Argo Blockchain has struggled over the last year. They've gone through a pretty major evolution. It looks like they're starting to get back on track. They were over 200 Bitcoin mined this month at 219, so good results for them. Iris Energy, stock ticker IREN, 154, so they've remained somewhere about the same month over month. They have said in their press releases that they expect to grow dramatically in the next 2 months, so we'll have to keep our eye on that to see. If they do what they said they were going to do, they're going to be competing for second or third or fourth next month. Okay, then we go to Bit Digital. So Bit Digital mined 143, so that is the most they've mined in a long time. It is by no means their all-time record. This used to be a much bigger company. They had to leave China and move to the United States and other places in North America. They're still not done with that move. It's over a year now, and they're at substantially less exahash than they were, a year or a year and a half ago. Having said that, this month does represent a gigantic jump for them. So for them, 143 was actually a very good result. Okay, then you've got Marathon at 73. Marathon has basically, in the short term, they have stopped mining Bitcoin. So yes, they did mine 73. That's not zero, but they're diverting their attention in the big picture. They're looking to get themselves online. They're trying to get to 23 exahash. So at the moment, their plans have been turned on their head and everything has been delayed. So I wouldn't put a lot of meaning into the Marathon July numbers. I would expect those to change dramatically between now and the end of the year. The two miners on this list that are much, much smaller really than all the rest of the miners are DigiHost and DMG Blockchain. They do give us monthly updates, so I include them on this list. However, they will not be competing with any of the other miners. They are not going to get into the top 10 anytime within the next year or two, probably never in my opinion. However, the other 11 that we've talked about all have big plans, so they are all vying for a top 3 or a top 5 position in here. So I do expect to see a lot of change in this list over the course of the year. Okay, so this is a month over month. I'm just going to go through this real quickly. You can see here just by looking, Core Scientific had a nice month. They increased from 1,100 to 1,221. That was their all-time record. Bitfarms had a really nice month. They increased from 420 to 500. That was their all-time record. Hive increased from 421 to 465. That was not their all-time record, but still a nice increase month over month. CleanSpark increased to 384. That was their all-time record. So you can see several companies hit their all-time record in July. There was one other company, Gree, also hit their all-time record. So Riot, we talked about, they went down from 421 to 319, but they got $9 million in energy credits. So, and then you can see the other big incline was in Bit Digital. They went from 67 to 143. I don't expect them to get into the top 5, but I do expect their numbers to continue to get better and better. Okay, just quickly, this is Bitcoin mined year to date. So this is from January 1st through July 31st. So you can see, once again, you've got Core Scientific way out in first place with 7,787. You've got Riot in second. You've got Hive in third. You've got Bitfarms in fourth. So those top 4 have separated themselves a little bit. And again, Bitfarms is in fourth for the year, but they were in second for the month. You're going to see Marathon is in seventh for the year at 2,038. But again, that's a little misleading. They have really shut down their operations for the last couple of months. So I would expect in the rest of the year, and then certainly in 2023, Marathon is quite adamant that based on what their plans are, they should be number 1 or 2 or 3. So we'll see if they can execute that. If they do, they're going to go from 8th to 1st or 2nd or 3rd. Really, nobody is competing with Core Scientific at this point. There are several companies that have plans to compete. Riot's plans within the next 6 months have them where they should be competing with Core Scientific. Marathon's plans within the next 6 months should have them competing with Core Scientific. Everybody else will be behind that. However, there are a lot of companies that have big plans for the rest of the year, just not big enough to get them competing for first place. Let's talk exahash per second. So this is how much operational exahash each company had mining in the month of July. So once again, you're going to see Core Scientific out in first by a mile. So you see Riot at 4.2. They've actually been going backwards a little bit for the last few months. However, they still say they're on target to get to 12.5 exahash, by early 2023. Bitfarms is at 3.8. They have consistently increased their exahash rate all year, maybe more consistently than anybody else. So they are at 3.8, and that was from 3.6 last month. Hive's at 3.36 on the average for the month of July, and remember, about a third of that is Ethereum, so we're going to have to see what happens. We've got a merge potentially coming in September, so we'll have to wait and see. CleanSpark at 2.9 exahash, they have been growing quite consistently. Gree at 2.7 exahash, they've been growing quite consistently. Argo Blockchain at 2.23, they have started to grow again. They were quite stagnant for a while. Bit Digital finally got back over 1 exahash. They were over 2 exahash a year and a half ago, so you can see that company went through a lot of turmoil. They're just now starting to turn the corner and get back on track. Marathon Digital, like I said, I have them in a different color because I wouldn't even pay attention to their current exahash rate. They're not focusing on producing Bitcoin right now. They're focusing on getting their operations up and running and scaling them massively. So they're very low on this list, but again, that's going to change drastically. And then we have our 2 small Bitcoin miners, DMG Blockchain and DigiHost. Both of those are well under 1 exahash, and they're probably going to remain that way the rest of the year. They're targeting maybe to get to 1 by the end of the year. So I will keep showing those, but again, those are never really going to compete for the top 10. Okay, this is an important one, efficiency. So this is Bitcoin mined per exahash. So this is a simple calculation. How many Bitcoin did each company mine in the month, and divide that by the amount of exahash they had running for the month. So you'll see Hive is in first place, tied with Iris Energy. Hive typically finishes in first place with this. We're going to see what happens after the merge. They get a lot of efficiencies out of mining Ethereum, so we'll see if that changes or if they're able to still compete like this. Iris Energy also did at 138. So you had CleanSpark at 132, Bitfarms at 132, and BitDigital had a massive jump up to 131. For me, for my grading system, that's an A. So you'll see in the middle, we've got HUT, Core Scientific, and GREE at 113, 112, and 106. So somewhere in that over 110, that's the minimum acceptable level of performance. So anything under that. So when I see DigiHost and Argo Blockchain, DMG, and Riot, now Riot has a separate reason. Remember, they did get $9 million in exchange for this inefficiency in Bitcoin mining. So I would not pay attention to Riot's number. There's a massive mitigating factor. But some of these other companies, to me, I think every one of these companies, in order to survive long term, they need to be over 110. They probably need to be over 115. And you'll see a lot of these guys are at 130. So it gets tough to compete if you're that much less efficient than your direct competition. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to look at for the day today. This is the Bitcoin HODL per company. So I've got the last 3 months on here because there was a big shift starting about 3 months ago. So I'm showing month over month over month. So from this, you can see those companies that are still hodling Bitcoin and those companies that are selling their Bitcoin. And now you will see the vast majorities have gone from hodling to selling Bitcoin. So if we look at the top 3, Marathon continues to hodl all their Bitcoin. Now, they went up only just a little bit because really, again, they're not mining right now. HUT 8 continues to hodl 100% of their Bitcoin. So they increased. They're over 7,500. They're about 7,700 right now. So they have had a steady increase. They're mining over 300 Bitcoin a month. And again, they continue to save all of them and they plan to do so for the rest of the year. So they are in second place with the amount hodled on their balance sheet. And there's a very good chance they could stay in second place all year. Riot Blockchain is doing a combination of holding and selling. So in the past, that's been somewhere 50-50. Now, again, they didn't mine very much this month due to kicking energy back to the grid. Hive is holding their Bitcoin and selling their Ethereum in general. So they've been kind of going sideways. You'll see there's a couple that are way down. The next 3 in a row. Bitfarms went from over 6,000 Bitcoin in May, and you can see they're under 2,000 right now. So they have been selling Bitcoin on a monthly basis for several months now. Argo Blockchain, the same thing. You can see that number is decreasing each month. So, and then Core Scientific has drastically reduced their Bitcoin mined. They went from over 8,000. At one point, they were actually over 10,000, I believe, and now they're down under 2,000. So they continue to sell Bitcoin at a very rapid pace. If you don't see your Bitcoin miner on this list, that probably means that they sell their Bitcoin each month as they mine it. So that is my July update for the Bitcoin miners. So I hope you guys enjoyed this information and this update. Thanks so much for watching. And I will, of course, do this again next month. So we'll see you when everybody's issued their August operational updates. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.